Hello. Before the episode starts, I did have some issues with my mic this episode. So if I sound a bit like a robot or I sound a bit choppy, I do apologize. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Welcome back once again to the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. The intention for today's episode, in full honesty, was to do our typical recap of the previous Grand Prix. But there was some massive news today in the world of Formula One.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not even sure where to start with it, to be honest with you. It was breaking news today that Christian Horner has been fired from the Red Bull team principal position. And oh my God.
What a
I don't
shocker.
even know what to say about it. Other than this should have happened 18 months ago.
Fair.
It should have happened a minute ago.
It should have. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, at least for as a normal viewer standpoint. I'd say no one was expecting him to be fired now, at least.
Right.
It's not like Red Bull has been a team where there haven't been issues. I mean, specifically the car has been an absolute shocker. So this change of position is definitely something the team will probably need. But it's still crazy that this was just this happened on a random Wednesday. And
I woke up and the first thing I opened was a message from you. The first thing I did in the morning was open a message from you saying, "Dude, we've got to record today. Christian Horner is leaving Red Bull." And whoa, we all know, we've known for a long time that there's been tensions in the Red Bull department.
for sure.
Up and down, from Max Verstappen to Jos Verstappen to Helmut Marko to Christian Horner, etc. Adrian Newey now leaving for this year as well. It has been building to this point.
Yeah.
What I did see reports of was that it seems like Max and Jos Verstappen stand with the Austrian side of the team.
Oh yeah.
And the department over there quite heavily. And then of course Marco as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there was disagreements. I did see a report again. I mean, a lot of this is speculation. We're going to probably find out a little bit more about this in the coming weeks. That possibly Christian Horner wanted to replace Helmut Marko. He called a meeting to replace Helmut Marko, and ended up getting fired shortly thereafter. I think that we should go back and look at, we're talking early 2024.
Ooh.
And Christian Horner has a Google Drive file come out in due time after a bunch of speculation and conversations of him chatting with an employee, allegedly. But there is a Google Drive file of it, so it's not a good look. I actually saw it again today. It does not look good. And that should have been the moment, in my opinion. That's what feels weird to me, is if this was going to happen, why didn't it happen then? I do understand a guy with a resume such that Christian Horner has is hard to just disregard. He has had a lot of success with Red Bull.
Yeah.
Actually, funny statistic, Kimi Antonelli, this is the first day of his life that Christian Horner is not the team principal of Red Bull. So, or not a part of the Red Bull team in some capacity.
True, because he got team principal in 2005. So, my God, okay. I have lived a day before Christian Horner was team principal.
Yeah,
thank God.
But yeah, he's been there for a long time, and he's had a lot of success. We did see a team that was originally, when they came into the sport, joked about as, how is an energy drink going to run a Formula One team? How is an energy drink going to build a car?
Yep.
And they won championships with Sebastian Vettel very early on in the early stages. They've won 4 consecutive with Max Verstappen. They've had a very successful stint in Formula One under Christian Horner. So it is hard to just disregard that. But given the fact where the tensions were, Max Verstappen was unhappy, Helmut Marko was unhappy, Jos Verstappen was unhappy, and it goes on. I know there's actually a really good video on YouTube. I can't remember who it's by, but it ties in all like the connections in the Red Bull and like in Red Bull. There's actually a picture of it too where it shows who keeps who on board, who likes who doesn't like who, and it's a very messy web of people. It's a very messy web of people, and Christian Horner is the forefront of most of the problems. Because not only that, with Christian Horner goes his crew, the people that he has in the team under him because he wants them there, including some engineers and technical, performance managers and important roles in the team that have also departed today. Obviously, Christian Horner is the headline, but there just is a very messy thing. What does it mean for Red Bull?
What does it mean for Max?
I think this is a move you make. Honestly, this is a move you make because you think Max Verstappen's going to leave.
See, I thought so too, but I've been thinking about this the whole day. Right, this was in my head all day long. Max has always been someone who said he'll follow Helmut Marko. He'll stick with Helmut Marko, and he was known as someone who wasn't really on great ties with Christian Horner, and so was his father. And realistically, and maybe I'm fully wrong here, and maybe tomorrow he's going to be announced as a 2026 Mercedes driver. I think Christian leaving is him staying. Like
that. No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say he's going to leave.
No. I'm saying this is a move you make because you think Max is going to leave if you don't do it. To clarify.
Oh.
That's the impression it gives. It gives that if you don't get rid of Christian Horner, given where the tensions are at, Max leaves. And this is a move you make to keep him happy. This is a move you make to keep Max Verstappen in Red Bull. And I think you cannot ignore the money that Max Verstappen brings in.
Oh, you can't.
And when Red Bull as an organization, beyond the team, as a company, as an energy drink company, sees that they're the face of the brand in motorsport, arguably the face of the brand in general at this point, Max Verstappen is unhappy, has activated his exit clauses, in talks with Mercedes, and his grievance might be with the team principal.
Bye-bye.
You look into that and you say bye-bye.
Yeah.
I think there is just a degree of we're seeing this happen directly after his exit clause was technically activated, given the DNF following the Austrian Grand Prix. And then you have another bad finish after pole in Silverstone, which we'll get into the race, but we kind of have to start off with the big drama of the day. It's a move you make to keep Max Verstappen around. It's a move you make to keep Max Verstappen around, keep him happy.
For sure.
And I do think it is funny, and I'm not the first one to say this. Christian Horner has made a career out of dropping drivers mid-season just to get dropped mid-season, which I don't think can go without saying, is a little funny. It's a little funny.
Fair.
Effective immediately was crazy. At the end of the year is one thing. Immediately is crazy. Something worth noting. Does Christian Horner get another opportunity as team principal somewhere? I hope not.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be a weird choice to make now, because coming from Red Bull, where is he gonna go? Like, because for example, his replacement. Let me just. Do you have his name pulled up? Because he's the current RB team principal.
Yeah. I'm gonna butcher it.
Yeah, so would I probably, but I'll just butcher it for the both of us. It's.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say Laurent Mekies. I don't know. I presume.
Yeah. I think you would have it more accurate than me.
You'll probably go like Laurent Mekies.
Probably. Probably. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. and he has an interesting track record, which we'll get into, but
he does, but for him now Red Bull's the peak, him now being the team principal of Red Bull is definitely the peak, and I think you'd rarely see him like in the shoes of Christian Horner now, stepping down to, for example, Racing Bulls or any other team. I can't really imagine a team that would now take Christian Horner as a team principal, where it's like an actual good choice of taking that career path, because he's like, this was his peak now. You know? Does that make sense?
Yes. There is two obvious candidates that come to mind. And again, I don't want either of these to happen. I think we could go without Christian Horner in Formula One, given his history. That came to light, and I think he just brings unneeded drama to most of the teams at this point. But you know, it's just he's done a good job, but again, there is drama that comes with it. But there's two obvious candidates. The first one's Ferrari. There has been talks about Fred Vasseur maybe not doing the job anymore at Ferrari. The drivers are unhappy. The team's unhappy. He could be replaced. Christian Horner would probably take that job if it presented itself. But does Ferrari present it? Does Ferrari present it? I don't know. I'm just saying that's the first one that comes to mind, because there's also tensions in the Ferrari garage regarding team principal and drivers' moves right now, just because they have been underperforming as well. Charles Leclerc's unhappy. Lewis Hamilton's unhappy. The other obvious candidate in my eyes is Aston Martin. Does Christian Horner want to get bailed out by Adrian Newey again?
I
fully possible.
I can't
now,
imagine
I don't know where Adrian Newey and Christian Horner's relationship stands currently. I don't. But we know Adrian Newey had a very successful run with, or Christian Horner had a very successful career with Adrian Newey. And I would be surprised if Lawrence Stroll doesn't at least give it a look. Just think about it. Let's it cross his mind a little bit, because ultimately, I mean, then you just build the Aston Martin Red Bull Racing team at that point. Minus the Austrian side and the Helmut Marko side of things. So, those are the two that come to mind. Do I think they happen? If they do, not soon, because I don't think anybody wants the heat of the drama on their team right now. I don't think it's necessary. I think things are messy with Christian Horner, and everything tied to his name is a little messy at the moment. And bringing him in right away after everything, and of course this does bring back to light his past and other things, it would be a very interesting decision to bring him in somewhere right away. But I wouldn't be surprised if his name floats around the F1 space come the summer break, come the off season, with some unhappy ownership with the team principals. And somebody looking for. I mean, Christian Horner obviously does have the resume, so
he does.
He definitely has the resume. The only guy in F1 that might have an equal or better resume than him is Toto Wolff. As a team principal. So, yeah, it's crazy. Now, what does it mean for Red Bull? Well, they've got Laurent Marquez, something like that.
See, I think I'm proud of you for how you said it. I thought you would slander it more. We could both be totally wrong. It's just, I feel like that's how you probably say it.
He's French.
So yeah, so it's Laurent Marquez.
I can't.
No, don't. It's okay.
I'm not. I can't. I usually just go when it comes to like the French things. I usually just say it however the English commentators say it. Like fucking Croft, you just Charles Leclerc. That's how I run with it. Laurent Marquez, maybe, perhaps.
I think now they know who we're talking about.
Yes, he has been. He was an F1 for a while, then became an FIA. He worked for the FIA from like 2014, 2018, and then was a part of the strategy team in Ferrari, which did not go great, and he had an interesting track record at Ferrari with strategy. Now, admittedly, does Ferrari ever have a good track record with strategy? Not really. No. So maybe there's something else to that. He has had some pretty good, I mean, since he's been team principal at Racing Bulls, has had some pretty good moments as the Racing Bulls engineer this season. Or sorry, principal this season. So it's interesting though, but people did joke about how he kind of did like an inside job. It seemed like he was doing an inside job trying to destroy Ferrari from the inside, and now he's doing the same thing with Red Bull.
Sure.
So who knows? Who knows how he's gonna do? I really don't know.
Big boots
He
to
doesn't
fill.
have the best track record, but not the worst. What?
Big boots to fill. I
Big
mean,
boots to fill.
you're coming.
Big boots
You're
to fill.
coming in a job where the team principal of 20 years has just been fired. Right. I mean, you're obviously around. You're with Racing Bulls, so you've been at the Red Bull garage. You know some people, that's for sure. But coming to all these workers and having to fill these boots, knowing that's like it's very weird because I mean the Red Bull employees were known to follow Christian Horner with every single step, and I saw Sky Sports posts about this about Christian Horner's goodbye at the factory today, and he gave a speech, and it was very, very emotional. And there was a lot of applause after the speech, and well, then he left the factory for the last time. But the employees were definitely known as people to follow Christian Horner wherever the man goes. So coming into that job, yeah, it's going to be 50-50. It's going to be either an amazing job or he's going to be drowning. But we'll see. We'll see. He's got the track record. He's got the experience in F1. He's got the experience with dealing with F1 teams. So, yeah, he might be able to make this a great opportunity for him.
I think what's interesting also is just even the people who were on Christian Horner's side in the Red Bull team, I think have to admit to some capacity that this needed to happen.
Oh, for sure.
This needed to happen, and whether it was Horner or somebody else, somebody had to go because there was that the Red Bull entire team was just a string of complicated relationships, and Formula One is a game of hundreds of thousands of a second, and when you have that, that's distracting. It's distracting, and we've seen it reflected in Red Bull's performance. We are talking about a team that in 2022 and 2023 was some of the most dominant we've ever seen. 2023 being probably the most dominant Formula One season of all time.
Sure.
Across the board by a driver-team pairing, and Max Verstappen winning almost all but 3 races that year, 2 to Sergio, his own teammate, and 1 to Carlos Sainz in 2023. Some of the best we've ever seen, if not the best. Immediately on the downfall right after.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about that. There's something to be said about how quickly it happened, because we're not even just seeing, you know, oh, they got caught up to. That happens. The regulations, people catch up, the field bunches together. We're seeing them now as the 4th fastest car. Max is the only one performing because he's Max Verstappen.
Right.
And is it even the 4th fastest car? I don't know, because the thing is no other driver can drive that thing, and it's impossible, and it's on the edge all the time, and we've seen it reflected in the car. We've seen it projected in the tension between Max and his teammates, and across there's been incidents, and everybody's unhappy, and it just somebody needed to go. Somebody needed to go, and I think the obvious answer was Horner for branding and keeping Max Verstappen happy. I think Christian has to know that. I think he has to know. I heard he might have not been given a direct reason, but I think he has to know to some degree it was because of Max Verstappen.
Oh, for sure.
Max Verstappen has an unbelievable amount of power, and anything you can do to keep him in the team is going to be is going to be the move they're going to make for the future. So,
I just wanted to check real quick if there has been a statement by Red Bull, but
no, I think
only briefly. Only briefly. They made a post, but when it's not released, so they're too like
it was mostly just the thank you post.
Yeah, no big reasons, but I presume that will come in the coming days, and at least at the next race, the media will ask the right questions. So I'm sure we'll get some answers for sure. Yeah.
Well, we do still have a Grand Prix to talk about. We're 20 minutes in. All we've talked about is Christian Horner and his firing. So,
gosh,
in Silverstone, Lando Norris won the British Grand Prix, winning his home race. Congratulations, back-to-back wins for Lando Norris, now only separated by 8 points from Oscar Piastri for the championship, which is just heating up as the weeks go on. This championship battle is going to be. I mean, we are seeing. I think we can all talk about how quick the McLaren is, how beautiful of a rocket ship they built, because that car is flying. But it does also go to say there is an importance to having two top tier drivers who are able to get it out, get everything out of that car on a weekly basis, and they are dominating right now. I mean, Piastri and Norris don't just look like the two drivers in the best car. They also look like the two best drivers in the grid week in and week out. A lot of weekends. Obviously, Max Verstappen shows up every once in a while to rain on their parade. But there was an incident that gave Oscar Piastri a 10-second time penalty under the safety car.
Oh, yeah.
He broke from, I believe, almost 150 kilometers down in speed abruptly under the safety car, which, of course, he argued was because he was trying to warm his tires, as people do, but the safety car was coming in. You can't do that, and was an unsafe move. There's been some debate on whether he was robbed or if it was a fair penalty. I do think it was a fair penalty. The moment I even saw the penalty, because it's a safety car infringement, I was like, that's 10 seconds.
Yep.
And do I think that's harsh? A little. I think what could have been more fair maybe would 5, because given the circumstances of the race, that would have kept him and Norris within reasonable, touching distance. But I do think it's important to note Norris was catching.
Right.
He wasn't losing time to Piastri. Piastri wasn't pulling away on those 10 seconds. And then when they did switch, because of the 10-second time penalty, and Norris got ahead after he served his 10 seconds, Norris was pulling away again. Yep. So I do think Norris, honestly, after the incident, was the quicker driver yesterday. Would Piastri have won given the circumstance of the race until that point? Probably, because Norris was having trouble getting by Verstappen, who wasn't that quick in comparison, and that was allowing Piastri to get a massive advantage, which of Norris probably wouldn't have been able to catch up. But I don't think Norris's win should be dumbed down to Piastri got a penalty, because I do think it was a pretty... I think the penalty was deserved. That's just the rules of the sport. He did it to himself, and Norris should not be shamed for it. And I have a feeling you saw what I saw on the radio too, where Piastri asked if they could swap places if McLaren thought the penalty was unfair. No. And I kind of want to know your thoughts on it.
Before I give my thoughts on that, I do quickly have to say something about the penalty, because I saw some videos on this, and a lot of people compare this to the situation in Canada, where Russell broke during the safety car, and Verstappen overtook him briefly. And a lot of people basically going about saying, "Oh, it was a penalty back then. Why is it a penalty now?" I'm not sure if I have these brake PSI numbers correct in my head, but I did see a video on this, and I believe Russell broke with 30 brake PSI, and he only lost about, I think, 30 kph, roughly around that, and he was going slow. I believe he broke down from 140 to like roughly 110, something around there, while the safety car lights were still on, which is important apparently. And with Piastri, he broke with, I think it was double the amount, 60 brake PSI. I believe he was going around 190, and then like went down to some number. Added that there was rain, there was a ton of sprayed up water behind him, so it's definitely something which could have ended terrible. It could have gone horribly wrong, because no one can see anything in that spray. Luckily it didn't. Some people had to dodge, like Hulkenberg actually had to dodge, I think, Gasly or something. So at the end of the day, I think there are actually rules written down about how much you're allowed to brake in that specific situation, and he did exceed the limit of how much he was allowed to brake, so the penalty was 100% deserved. Obviously, in racing situation, Piastri, which he didn't want to say, which would have gone on a race plan, if he would have said it, he more felt like it was British bias or something towards that kind of situation. But it was a fair penalty. 10 seconds is harsh, but it could have been horrible, or it could have been way worse. So it's definitely something that the FIA tends to penalize in that way.
Especially under the safety car, there's a little low tolerance for there's little tolerance for yellow flag, safety car stuff.
Safety in
Those
general.
things are not
Yeah.
as yeah, those things are not easily chalked up to racing incidents such as other things
Mm,
that may happen. When the adrenaline's pumping,
yeah.
because that is it was just a silly mistake, and it's not something that I'm like, oh, why would he do that? I get the thought
Yeah.
process, but it was a mistake. It was his mistake,
Yeah.
and for him to suggest
Because I still need
switching
to give my
back
opinion. I
places,
still need to give you my
yeah,
opinion because I
I
didn't say that
I
yet.
know. I know. I was gonna segue into your opinion again. I was gonna go back into asking you for it again, but yeah,
You don't have to chase me for it. I got
I'm
this. I
chasing you for your
promise.
opinion,
I
man. I'm
promise.
chasing you
I
for your
promise.
opinion.
So I think as I saw the radio message coming in, I was like, okay, sure. Last year McLaren maybe because they put themselves into situations where they started giving those kind of orders on the radio to have those difficult conversations.
Hmm.
This year McLaren, no chance. No chance. In
No,
no way they
they're
were
very
going to do that.
much.
I respect the thought. I understand it. I do. Because personally, in his shoes, I probably would have had the same idea. But no, was not gonna happen. Was not gonna
Yeah,
happen. No way.
yeah. And I don't think you can't tell Norris in his home race
No.
swap back because we think the penalty that he got was unfair.
No.
You can't say that.
No
You
way.
just can't. And I get the adrenaline's pumping, and there is a championship battle, and unfortunately, your teammate is your championship rival.
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm not like, it was a little upsetting to hear it because it was a little ignorant in my opinion. Like, just a little like, come on, you know
Yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
A little silly.
A little silly goose.
But and he did. I get these drivers are people, but I do think Piastri showed a bit of Norris actually post race. He showed a little bit of Norris behavior, a little bit of quiet, seemed just kind of mopey, and
Imagine roles are reversed. Imagine.
it was unfortunate to see on a weekend where your teammate won his home Grand Prix for the first time in his career, and Nico Hulkenberg got on the podium for the first time in 239 races. So I wanted to see a bit more enthusiasm from him. I wanted that podium just felt awkward. That cooldown room felt awkward.
Oh,
I was
tough.
like really trying to like, I was like, ugh, and it just felt like the vibe was off. I get he was upset, and I get they're athletes, and I always say that all the time. I think we analyze too much on how they behave, but I was just like, come on, dude, like, I don't know. You did make the mistake ultimately, and I know he didn't know it in the moment. And I know Crofty came on commentary too. He was like, once he sees the data,
Yeah.
he'll understand
Yeah.
why the penalty was given. And I bet when we see him come to some media before Spa, he might backtrack his statements a little bit. I get it. It happens. These guys, like we talk about all the time, they're fighting for a championship. And I do think you see a different character come out of drivers when championships are being fought for.
Oh, for sure.
I think we noticed that with Norris last year. Like, the Lando that everyone, whatever, didn't like last year came out because he's fighting for a championship. And that's just kind of how that goes because I think there is something about your first championship too. Like, there's just, it's like, this is the only opportunity I'm going to get. These guys fight to be champions their whole lives. Winning races is one thing, being a champion is another thing. So I do understand the frustration. But it was just like, it was awkward. It was awkward. It was unenjoyable to watch.
It was rough.
I wanted to see the Hulkenberg celebration, dude, because I was so happy for
It was
Nico
mixed
Hulkenberg, man.
emotions. It was actually mixed emotions because I'm German, right? So I'm pumped for Nico. I'm pumped for Nico. The whole world's probably pumped for Nico. The Germans are like 20% more pumped because he's German. And I'm super happy for the guy. But then I got the two McLarens sitting there in the conference room. I'm like, I mean, Lando was happy, but I'm like, I don't know. This is bad, but like at the same time, Nico won. This is great. Super cute moment. He forgot his helmet because he didn't know he has to bring his helmet. I love that.
I feel like that happens every time. Every time, like, there's a driver who gets their first podium or something, they don't know the procedure, and it's really funny.
But the worst thing.
But I guess. Oh, go ahead.
The worst thing. They folded on the podium. Nobody sprayed Nico. The man left the podium completely dry. huh?
Not complete. I think
Not
he got a
completely
little
dry,
spray
but
from
like,
Lando towards the end, but and I get it. It's also a big day for Lando, and it's also you got two McLaren drivers. Three of them are on the same team up there, right?
yeah,
The team member, Lando and Oscar. I can't remember who from the team they brought up. But there's three McLarens up there and a kick, right? And I get that you just want to your natural instinct just to celebrate with your team, but come on, like
it's
that was
just,
his first podium, and I'm a McLaren fan. It
yeah,
was a little upsetting to
exactly.
see. It was a little upsetting.
I was
I
expecting,
wanted,
I was
yeah,
expecting like Norris first win kind of podium. Like
yeah,
Leclerc and Max completely drenched the guy. Like he
yeah,
was wet from his tallest hair to literally his toe. Like the man was completely drenched. His eyes full of champagne. I was
yeah,
expecting that for Nico, but they just like,
yeah.
I mean, they went to the balcony and then just sprayed the team. Which I mean, I get it, but like it looked like he was celebrating on his own, so it was a bit depressing.
And I have to talk about this while we're talking about that too, because it wasn't the only tragic thing about Nico Hulkenberg's first podium. The other being that the trophy was made out of fucking Lego.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
And at first, they gave Lando both the real Silverstone trophy and a Lego version for the winner, right?
Did you see
And
how
so
it
I
bent?
thought,
It was like bending. I was
yeah,
scared it was gonna
yeah,
break.
yeah. And I was thinking they're gonna put, they're gonna give him a real trophy after or something.
Yeah.
But no, Oscar in the press conference after goes, Nico, how does it feel that you waited 15 years for your first podium and it's made out of Lego? And he was like, I love Lego, but some silver and gold would have been nice.
Oh god. And I swear
Like,
there was a comment about this, how in a few weeks time there's gonna be like instructions how to build your own Silverstone trophy. So it's it's not even like a one of a one thing, you know? Because
here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I do think this is actually something they should reevaluate how they handle in the future. There is something fun to mixing up trophies and stuff like
sure,
that, and
yeah,
whatever. But when you start doing shit like that, what is weird about it is that, sure, had that podium been Max, Lando, and Oscar, right? Fine. Because they all have plenty of trophies. Really, who gives a fuck, right? Like, I mean, not that they all have plenty, but like, they're gonna get more. They have enough. Like, it's not the only one they have. But when you pick to have a trophy that's made out of Lego, you're not accounting for the off chance that this is going to be a crazy race and that Nico Hulkenberg's going to get his first career podium. Because if anybody got their first career podium that weekend and it was Lego, I would feel awful. And I just think that in the future, maybe we should cool it with the silly trophies. Like, I'm cool with having some unique ones, but like if they're going to be like made out of Lego, that's just kind of upsetting because like, I don't know. He has kids, right? And he has a kid, and this kid might have a sister in 9 months. But
Jesus, mate,
um,
Jesus.
he wants to tell his kids, "Oh, look at this trophy I won," and it's just Lego. And of course, it's cool for them when they're fucking like 5 years old. But as we're talking about, like, it's just you want that up in your house. You want that to be a memorable thing, and it's just a plastic trophy made out of Lego.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest. Well, who knows? Who knows how Audi will do next year? Maybe he'll just start racking them in.
Oh,
Right?
I'd love to see that.
Who knows?
I would love to see that.
I know you would. The
I would
German team
love
with the
to see
German
that.
driver.
Oh, music in my
with the German
ears.
driver. But regardless, congratulations, Nico Hulkenberg.
Yes.
I was
Congrats.
watching on the couch with my roommate, and we were just
I was anxious.
I was losing my mind because, like, obviously Lewis being on the podium and Silverstone's cool too, but I was like,
Yeah,
Nico, please, you can't fall short again, Nico. Like, please, like, this needs to happen right now.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because he was pulling away. Like, he actually was pulling away from Lewis Hamilton once Lewis almost got him, and it was like super impressive. He was flying out there. A brilliant drive from Nico Hulkenberg because it wasn't even just totally like, obviously the rain made a difference, but it wasn't only because of the rain. He drove brilliantly.
Yeah.
Brilliantly.
He did. And I do need to bring something up because undeserved penalties was a big topic. But holy shit, did they pull Yuki Tsunoda through the mud. He got 10 seconds for a racing incident. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, okay. He was down the inside. He was late at the apex. Sure, if you give it a penalty, maybe 5 seconds, but 10? I was so
It was
confused.
harsh.
I was so
It was harsh.
confused.
And he was already having a rough weekend anyways.
Like,
I mean,
I mean,
didn't need to tack it on. You did not need to tack it on.
yeah, because they were in the FA like, ooh, should we give him a penalty? No, Yuki's had a rough race. He's had a rough
That's
race.
what they should do.
And then
That's
there
what
was
they should do.
that one guy went like, no, he's gonna get something. Yeah, we'll give him 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Go on,
We'll give him 10 seconds. Yeah.
give him 10 seconds.
Dude, just pissed off. Fucking
Red Bull hater,
guy just
number
really
one Red
hates
Bull
Yuki
hater.
Tsunoda. Yeah. British bias, bro. British bias.
Telling you.
I will say there was a moment in that race where Lance Stroll was sitting P3, and I thought we were gonna have to do some serious apologizing here on the Pit Lane Pals podcast.
Oh no, I was chilling. I was chilling. I knew that wouldn't happen.
You just knew it wasn't gonna happen. Hey, Lance Stroll is one of those drivers though who just does kind of perform in rainy weather.
It's true. It's like, it's weird. It's really weird because then we always talk about. I mean, we always see Paul Lance Stroll through the mud. It's an easy driver to pull through the mud because he's not that quick and he's just incredibly cocky. But in the wet, all of a sudden he's able to drive and he drives pretty well. So he's actually a good driver. It's just don't put him on a dry track, I guess.
Yeah, and you know who else is good in the wet? Alpine and Pierre Gasly.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true because they build a boat.
Pierre just decides to be Ayrton Senna every once in a while, and he was defending like his life depended on it this weekend.
Yeah,
like,
true.
and my roommate's an Alpine fan, so he was sitting there stressing.
Oh god, he is. Jesus.
He is. Yeah, he is. He was just he was the only guy in the world wanting Pierre Gasly to get a podium over Nico Hulkenberg.
Oh my god, he should be disqualified as an F1 fan for that opinion. How could you? How could you?
I know. Well, I mean, yeah.
No. No. Don't give
To be
me
fair,
I mean. Don't give me I mean.
Yeah. Okay. No, fair enough.
I'll cut you out.
But no. Pierre also had a great weekend. Just want to acknowledge that. Aston Martin in general, obviously Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso both scored points this weekend.
Sure.
Who did have a rough weekend was Mercedes. They had one DNF in a P10. Charles Leclerc P14. Just it's rough over there at Ferrari right now. At least Lewis was able to bring in a P4. Probably should have brought in a P3, but Nico Hulkenberg decided that this was his weekend, and kudos to him for that.
You know what?
Something I want to.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
After you, my friend.
I'm sorry. I just had something. I had to say something to Lewis. I quickly just had to jump into your word for that one.
Yeah.
You know why he finished P4?
Why?
Because Ferrari didn't know half of the race where he was. His GPS was broken. Did you see this?
No, really, was it?
His GPS was broken. Ferrari had no clue where he was, so they weren't able to fuck him up. I'm convinced if Ferrari would have known where Lewis was, they would have fucked him up. But
they would have fucked him up.
They didn't know.
They would have fucked him up.
They didn't know.
That's funny. That's funny. And somehow he didn't catch Nico Hulkenberg, which I'm still kind of surprised about. But
yeah, that's weird.
You know what though? That Sauber has looked somewhat respectable over the last 4 race weekends. Nico Hulkenberg has scored points in every single one of the last 4 race weekends, scoring more than Max Verstappen in the past 4 races.
Crazy.
And then Gabriel Bortoleto obviously had his best finish of his career in Austria before DNFing here in Silverstone, but still, they definitely have been on the come up, and that might be the perfect time for them to do so. Maybe pull in some constructors' points for Audi next year as they take over. I do want to talk about something though.
Okay.
In the world of Formula One, we're obviously going to have 11 teams next year, which I am so excited about. Obviously, Audi's coming in to replace Sauber, and Cadillac's coming in as a fresh new startup team. Paid $350 million for entry. And we've talked about it before, but as we approach the summer break, we're talking about driver lineups. Now, one of those true drivers seems very much convinced, or very much solidified, is Valtteri Bottas.
Oh, yeah.
Valtteri Bottas made, I don't know how to articulate this any better than the most obvious, mysterious video I've ever seen in my life. Like, he went, I feel like Cadillac told him, "Hey, make a discreet video that gets people excited, but they can't really tell if that's what you're saying." And him him being Finnish, honestly. I mean, every time I feel like we have Finnish drivers, they just kind of like Kimi Räikkönen back in the day, just
Pick him
said
back.
how he felt. Right? He couldn't keep it under wraps, and so he just goes, this Cadillac is nice. The seats in this car look nice in this Cadillac. Yeah, dude. All right. So your driver number one, a Cadillac. Got it. Most 99.9% sure it's going to be Valtteri Bottas in that first Cadillac seat. The second one, I think there's three options.
Perez.
Perez is number one. I think Perez, if they want to go for the full veteran lineup, planning for making sure, using 2026, 2027 as learning years, keep the car and, just get across the line, keep them as learning years for the engine they're building in 2028, because we all know when you build an engine in Formula One, there's a big learning curve and you often can struggle with that. So they could use those first 2 years very much as we just need to get across the line. So let's get two veteran drivers.
Right.
The second option is Mick Schumacher. People thought he might go to Audi because they're German.
No.
I don't think, but here's the thing, as if we're not talking about Mick Schumacher without his last name being Schumacher. The only reason we're bringing it up is because Cadillac is going to need money, and bringing a guy like Mick Schumacher in does bring in money, and he is young still, and he's had some good performances in WEC. I do want to make that known.
Yeah.
We're talking about, he almost won the 6 hours of Spa.
Yeah.
In the Alpine, which isn't even like the quickest car on the grid in WEC right now at all. So we're talking about maybe Mick Schumacher. Now, again, I don't think it makes much sense given his reliability issues he had in his last attempt in Formula One.
Sure.
But maybe he's matured a little bit. Who knows? But again, it's also like, if you want the money from the Schumacher name, you could also just take the money from the Mexican Perez name and all the Mexican sponsorships that come with him. Or three, Zhou Guanyu. And that's my personal favorite opinion. That's my personal favorite take.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, okay, then there's a fourth option, because there's also Colton Herta.
Oh, I think that was pretty much ruled out, though.
Oh, okay.
Because Colton Herta has been talking a lot about how he's like, I'm just focused on winning the IndyCar championship. I don't think he has a ton of interest going into Formula One, and he's doing very well in IndyCar right now. He would have to, like, it would be messy. I think there was a bunch of stuff I saw on how he's pretty much kind of ruled out at this point, given his place in IndyCar. And to be honest, I think most good IndyCar drivers don't really want to risk their careers by going to Formula One. They're having success. You might as well just ride it out. And same with what's his name, Alex Palou. I think he was pretty much ruled out as well. I think they really wanted to bring
An American,
an IndyCar driver over. Obviously, Alex Palou isn't American, but they wanted. I mean, Colton Herta would have been a good American pick. Yeah. But Alex Palou, also just the IndyCar driver. Obviously, Cadillac is pretty involved in IndyCar, so could have made sense. But I think those are ruled out. I think the third option really is Zhou Guanyu. He brings in Chinese sponsorships out the wazoo, like tons of Chinese sponsorships, being the only Chinese Formula One driver in a very long time. He did consistently get across the finish line. Like, he wasn't crashing that often. Obviously, we know about the major incident in Silverstone where he had rolled over on top of his halo and whatever. But other than that moment, he really was fairly consistent at being okay in a shitty kick Sauber. And it looks getting a little better now, but let's be honest, him and Bottas were in that Sauber for years, not pulling out anything because it was a shitbox, right?
Sure.
And we're talking about, and then you bring two teammates who have experience working together, right? Again, the money, definitely good. And he's able, if he's going to be a reliable driver, I think you want one veteran, one rookie. I don't know. I like you take a chance on a guy. I think Zhou Guanyu deserves another chance in Formula One because he never was bad. He just never had the chance to be great. And for that reason, he's my favorite pick. And I just kind of want to talk about that. That'd be a fun topic because we are approaching the summer break.
I did see something.
Those are the three options. But yeah, go ahead.
I saw a picture, and you know how they sometimes test graphics.
Yeah.
There was a graphic test of the Cadillac team during the during some F1 race, I believe it was actually during Silverstone.
Yeah.
And the two drivers shown for that graphic test, buckle up, were Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez.
Okay. Okay. That would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense.
It's just,
I do.
it's the safest
In my heart, I
way.
want Zhou Guanyu.
Yeah.
In my heart, I want Zhou Guanyu. He's also had the Ferrari testing, experience this year, and I don't know. I love the guy, but it's okay. It's okay.
That could be fun.
It does make a lot of sense because I do think that what's helping Perez right now is the Lawson Tsunoda struggles.
Oh, for
And
sure.
what's helping him right now. I think we aren't talking about it if they're doing super well, and they aren't. And so I think it's really made maybe Perez isn't washed. That car really just was as bad as it seemed.
Yep.
So yeah, just it's gonna be interesting. We're approaching summer break. I think we might get some driver announcements fairly soon. I know they had some driver talks in Silverstone. They were apparently holding some contract meetings, but we're not supposed to know anything yet. They're keeping it very much under wraps. But I'm super. I keep thinking about the grid next year with Audi and Cadillac on the grid, and you know what? That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. We're gonna have a good lineup of teams, and I'm happy we're finally getting an 11 team. 20 drivers just sometimes isn't enough.
Sure.
And I'm happy we get to have two more on the grid, even if they had to sell an arm and a leg to get their spot. But whatever. But I'm also happy though that it is a legitimate contender too, because Cadillac we could be talking about once they figure out their engine. If they do a good job with that, they have the money to fight at the front.
Sure.
And so does Audi. So
Sure.
we're going to have a very competitive Formula One grid soon. Anyways, ton of stuff we just covered today.
Oof.
Silverstone, the drama of Silverstone, the Christian Horner thing we talked about for like 20 minutes, and then we recapped with some looking up as the summer break and driver moves, and hopefully some drama that we're about to see after Spa as the summer break approaches. If you did enjoy this episode of the Pit Lane Pals Formula One podcast, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, all the places you'll be able to find us at the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. And we'll see you next time for Spa, most likely. So, yeah, thank you for listening and goodbye.
Goodbye.